Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about the 2021 trends. We are now moving from one era into another, and there's a big shift in the design industry. And I want to go over with you 5 new trends that if you had just recently finished a project, or if you're about to start one and you have everything picked out, if you're straddling between these two eras, how 5 solid solutions to make sure your project is on trend but also classic. So let's get started. The first design trend is that white kitchens are out. Now, if you have just gotten that nice and bright and beautiful white kitchen, and then you put quartz and then you paint everything gray, and now they're telling you you have to paint your kitchen green or putty and warm it all up, well, I think that your all white kitchen is timeless, classic, fresh, clean, and gorgeous. Now, what the trend is actually saying is that we are in our homes and we're going through a pretty stressful time with the pandemic, so they want us to kind of get really cozy. So the way to do this, there's inexpensive ways to warm up your kitchen and there's slightly more expensive ways. I'm going to start with the inexpensive ways. Number 1, I'd like you to bring in some wood bowls, wood cutting boards, wood spoons. Get that really warm wood back in there. You can get cutting boards at Target, you can get them at Home Goods. If you really want like one gorgeous piece, then I really highly recommend this Andrew Pierce cutting board. You can get it engraved. Get this for a Father's Day gift, but it's really a gift to you because they're stunning and they're gorgeous. The next thing you could do is bring in pottery or a teapot. I really like Farmhouse pottery. I have a few pieces from them. What you're looking for when you're choosing these ceramic pieces is an element of that it's handmade, that it's not perfect. And I want to tell you, you can mix your whites. Like if you have a bright white kitchen, it's okay to get an off-white piece of pottery and put it there. The contrasting whites will bring depth into your kitchen. A more expensive option is to change out your counter stools. If you have a gray, quartz, and white kitchen, you really need to bring wood into those counter stools. Just really warm it up. Another a little bit more expensive option, but you usually only have one window in your kitchen, get a nice woven shade over that one window. That'll really warm up the space. And the last and more pricey is really, you might want to look at your light fixtures. So if you have bright cabinets and you have quartz and you have gray, if you have polished nickel, you really need to kind of tone it down with brass or a shade, bring in some material to kind of offset it. You really don't want everything to be too cold and lots of metal. The second trend, gray paint is out. If I had just painted my house gray, because that's what they just told me for the past decade, I'd be like, what? I just got done painting my house gray. And now you want me to paint it grayish, like the Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck of paint? First of all, let's start with what is grayish. Grayish is beige with a blue undertone versus beige with a yellow undertone. That's all that grayish is. If you are looking for a grayish paint, just make sure it's on the cooler tone. So my house was Benjamin Moore Manchester tan, and it had a lot of yellow undertones. And then what I recently did was Benjamin Moore natural cream, and there's a blue undertone. It just freshened up the space. So if you've just painted your house all gray, I do not recommend painting your whole house again. What I want you to do again, they want you to be cozy. Make sure that you are having your curtain panels not in a bright white. You want them in an off-white. You might want to have a little texture to your curtain panels. In addition to that, you might want to do a woven shade with your gray, because that'll just start to bring in the layers and the warmth. You can also start to change out your artwork. We're seeing a lot of like more traditional scenes versus modern and abstract. If you start to change out your artwork and what is on your walls, you'll start to feel that warmth without having to paint your entire house. If you still have your heart set on the most absolutely gorgeous gray and it's kind of running colder, then what you might want to do is make your trim off-white. If you did Benjamin Moore white dove versus Benjamin Moore Chantilly lace, the Chantilly lace with a gray is going to be cold with cold, and then the Benjamin Moore white dove is going to be warmer white with a cooler gray. And see how that contrast gives you depth and warmth, and that's what you're after. Hold on to your chickens. If you like the farmhouse look, rock on with it. The reason why people were so attracted to the farmhouse look and the reason why it became so popular is because A, fixer-upper with Chip and Joanna Gaines, but what they exuded was warmth, comfort, tranquility, and living really an organic lifestyle. What the trend is actually saying, again, is warm up your farmhouse. So the inexpensive way is actually to take out the metal. I have in my dining room a very long metal trough. I should replace it with a gorgeous long marble piece down the center rather than the metal. And that's an example of switching out your metal and bringing in more warmth. Another way you can update your kitchen if you did farmhouse is if you did matte black metal pulls, you might want to switch them out to brass. Bringing in that gold and brass and switching out your black metals will really start to update that farmhouse look. You don't have to get rid of the shiplap you just installed. You can keep all of your farmhouse stuff. You just need to feather in these warmer elements to update the look. Those signs are so tempting. I get it. I need that go get 'em tiger every day. However, I think that you should put those sayings in a mug or on a t-shirt because we want our homes to create a feeling, not telling you something, but showing you something, showing who we are. So one example that I'd like to give to you to show you what I mean is that when you walk out my door, what I'm looking for, and I've been on the hunt for it for years, is I would love a horseshoe that goes just above my door. I don't want a sign that says good luck. I want a piece that signifies good luck, but also has meaning behind it. So I grew up riding horses. I regret not grabbing one of my horseshoes that I could have had. I dream about taking my family on a dude ranch, making that memory, and I am leaving with a horseshoe. And then I'll come home and I'll put it up over the door, and when I go to leave, it'll remind me of my childhood with horses. It'll remind me of that vacation, and it'll remind me, girl, good luck, because you're gonna need it. But that is how you start to have your house tell a story. You don't have to just frame artwork. You can frame maps of places that you have been. You can start to gather things from your travel or think of things that were important to you in your childhood and then bring them through your house. Oh man, they just told us to knock down all our walls and now they want us to put back up all the walls. No. No, you're good. Here we go. Okay, I want to take a little bit more of a deep dive into this one because this was a little whisper before the pandemic. It was like, close up your dining room, no open floor plans. And it was a hush, like a little whisper kind of sweeping through the design industry. And now it is a loud screaming, we need walls. And it goes back to this time period we're all so homebound. Yes, you're working from home and you would kill for a wall between your new students or your new coworker that you never signed up to work with. And so yes, during this time we are craving privacy, we're craving alone time, we're craving space and distance that we're not getting by being able to move in the world. So yes, of course you want those little spaces. The solution for the open floor plan, you want to create spaces within your space. Sounds confusing? It isn't. All you need to do is to get 2 chairs, a coffee table, a nice light, and you need to carve out a little space for yourself. That'll make us feel like we have the walls that we are craving during this time. The whisper that I talked about in the design trend where it's like we should have close up the walls, I think is directly linking to homes are getting bigger again. They want you to define those spaces. These trends ebb and flow. For the past decade, they said, no more big homes. We need to get smaller homes with open floor plans. Now the homes are getting bigger again. And so the kitchens are getting bigger and the living rooms are getting bigger. And so it's hard to create that intimacy with these larger homes. So how do you do it? You put the walls back up. Now, I will speak to the fact that I do have an open floor plan where on my dining room, I look over, and in my kitchen after I've cooked, I'm looking at the dirty dishes. Yes, that happens to me when I have hosted everybody. I'm so excited. I sit down to enjoy and I look over and I see my dirty kitchen. Does it irritate me? Yeah, it totally does irritate me. No big deal. You know what I do to solve that? I sit with my back towards the kitchen. Solved. Done. My guests aren't like, when is she going to do that kitchen? When is she going to clean that kitchen? Their mind is on our conversation. Their minds are like engaged. I'm the only one that's maybe thinking, man, that kitchen's really dirty and I got to clean it later. Just position yourself with your back to your kitchen. You're good. Gosh darn it, we just figured out what mid-century mod is, and now we have to figure out what Japandi is. I just want to do a quick overview of trends. Now, I am really confused because I'm hearing things like neo-goth and grand millennial and Japandi. And I'm thinking to myself, gosh, now I have to study all of these to be up on the trend. It gets very confusing very quickly, especially if you're not a trained interior designer. And if you're just a design enthusiast like me, who you really want your home to be up to date. Let's talk about how we can watch these trends on more of a happy homeowner level versus we got to be great interior designers. We got to be so on trend. Let's just bring it down to tangible ways to understand where these trends are coming from. There's always a shift back and forth of trend in fashion and interior design. Fashion will move very quickly. Let's just take the cold shoulder. Bam, our shoulders were all hanging out. And then 6 months later, bam, no more cold shoulder. In design, it moves really slowly. It's like a snowball. It builds and it builds and it builds until it's like, whew, and then the pandemic made the snowball go faster. Where should we start to really understand these trends? Well, they're just shifting back and forth across the country. For the past decade, we went to California where they have more straight lines. And that's where that mid-century mod came in because that's where their architecture came in and that influenced our furniture. So we were told to paint everything bright, everything white, everything airy. So now we're heading back over towards the East Coast where now we have patterns and woodwork and warmth. And if you're from the East Coast and you're like, yeah, I got this traditional down and you really want to elevate it even more or change it, you might want to head over to like Great Britain interior designers and kind of look what they're doing over in England because their paint colors have like a richness, a depth to them that ours don't. So like Farrell Ball has so much saturation in their paint colors. So when you live in a climate like the East Coast or like Great Britain, you go out into the elements and when you come back in, you really crave that warmth. And that's where these trends are coming from. I am not a trained interior designer, so I have no idea what neo-goth means. And I don't really think I want to know what they all are. I just want to know how to achieve the look of where I'm going. I want to know why it's happening. I want to know how to achieve it in a very practical way. It is so much fun to dissect these trends to see where the design industry was and where it is going. So I really hope it gave you some tangible points so that you can bring these trends into your home project. But most importantly, what we're striving to be here is not to be the coolest cat in the room. We're striving to be happy homeowners and have our homes bring us joy, comfort, and love. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly.